So most people that do their clock collection updates or whatever don't usually just talk about their clocks. They just go around and demo them or, make them chime. But I thought I'd do both of those, just very briefly talk about it. So here is a Seikosha. I think this is kind of just a Japanese deco type of style. This is on a lot of Japanese wall clocks, from what I've seen, like even Seikos that aren't Seikoshas. I don't know when this clock was probably made, but I do know that it has a movement that's very similar to one of those circular Korean movements. Now is this one. This one here is also a Seikosha, but it's not actually marked on the movement that it is a Seikosha. So it's like, it looks like just a normal Korean movement, so I don't know. Before I took it off, there was a sticker here that said Seiko Loris, so this makes me think this is maybe some kind of newer clock than this one. Maybe older, I don't even know. This one, just as a fun fact, you don't need to push it backwards. You can actually just push the hour hand backwards. It moves the snail with the hour hand, and the rack will drop where it needs to. This is a Daijin bracket clock. I think Parliament's just some kind of trademark name. It uses a Daijin movement. Goes for 31 days. It's running a bit slow right now, as in the chime is, because I'm actually letting it unwind. This is supposed to strike on 2 chime rods, but it only strikes on the longest one because the shortest one broke in shipping. Need to find an old one of these and just strip out the chime block. Here's a Seth Thomas cottage clock. Thomaston, Connecticut. About 1870 or so. This is a Westminster chime self-starting Revere. It's powered by a Telecron motor, but it's seized, so it doesn't run anymore. I have previous videos of it chiming, though, if you're curious. This is pardon my slaughtering of the Russian language, but Kawagaikyu. I think that's how you pronounce that. This is a Kawagaikyu USSR submarine clock. It goes for 8 days. I actually haven't tried letting it unwind for more than 8 days, so I don't know if it actually goes more than 8 days or not, but I'm going to assume. It's made by the Vostok Clock Company. I don't know if this is just for aesthetic or if it's genuine USSR, but I do know that it has Cyrillic scripture on it, so I'm going to take its word for it, that it was made in the USSR. This one here is nothing more than sentimental value. It's just a quartz, movement. Uses one AA battery. This one is I'm not actually sure what brand it is, but I do know it was made in June of 1981 in Germany. It actually has a movement kind of similar in construction to this one, which we'll get to. This is a Schneider. It belongs to my parents. I'll just cover it now. They got it for an anniversary gift, I think, back in like 2000, 2001 or so. And it was kind of just hanging upstairs. No one was ever using it, so I just asked if I could hang it down here, and they were like, go for it. And I was like, epic. But the movement in the Schneider is very similar to this one. So that was Edelweiss. You're gonna hear another song on the 30-minute mark, which is called Somewhere My Love. This here is a Semka, or really an FM, not an F.M.S. Mauta, but just a Mauta, F Mauta. It uses, I think it's a pin palette escapement. I haven't been able to get a look at the escapement very good yet, because it's kind of obscured, but it is a pin palette lever escapement, I do believe. And it strikes on a bell. If I can just... Tommy Wiley, another clock enthusiast, much more advanced than I am, let me know that Semka is probably an assembly firm or a retailer, because there's clocks out there. I actually went on my own hunt on Google Images and found a clock with the exact same case, however the numerals were different. Oh, that's a weird piece of fuzz there. There were no 12, 3, and 6, and 9 there. They were just the dashes all around, and it had Mauta in the middle. So I think Mauta also retailed these on their own, but then had other companies kind of buy from them, maybe? I don't know how that works. But yeah. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's a Howard Miller regulator, and it was made probably somewhere in the 80s to the 2000s. I think that's when they were made, and then they were discontinued by Howard Miller. I don't actually remember exactly 100% for sure. I don't really want to show the chime because I'm timing it in, plus it's having issues actually chiming properly. It chimes so slow. I'm getting oil, and I'm going to completely take out the movement and clean it as best as I can anyway, and get some new oil in there. And get some oil in between the hammers too, because they're very stiff. Now this one here, this wall clock, this is an F.M.S. Mauta. Manufactured in, I think, 1927. About 1927 anyway. Uses an anchor escapement, and it's German. Bim Bam striking. Just wanted to show you the fly. Bad camera work, but whatever. This one here is probably one of the most decrepit clocks in my collection. I'm not proud of it. I've dropped it, broke the glass, because I'm a klutz. It's got a working temperature gauge and a hygrometer on it. And it's not going currently, actually. I forgot to wind it. Use that loop there to just hang it on the wall, because I don't have anywhere else to put it. Oh yeah, and it's a Bolova, or Bolova, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've heard Bulova, Bulova, I don't even know anymore. And here's that Schneider, by the way. Yeah, I do have game plushies there. Here's an A.M.S. I do know A.M.S. is kind of like some kind of extension of Hermle, I think, because I've seen so many A.M.S's with Hermle movements. It kind of makes me think that there's some kind of extension of them or some kind of retailer. I don't even know. A.M.S. has some interesting clocks, though. I know the bell sounds bad on camera. I wish I could make it sound better for you. This here is a Waterbury chime clock, number 401, according to the bottom. And it does Westminster, probably made around 1925 or so. And that was the latest patent on the movement. Just want to try and get you to look at the wood. There's some scuffs, yeah. But other than that, it's really in good condition for one of these types of clocks. I've seen a lot of them with really faded wood. This is very, very vibrant. Comes off very nice. It's still shiny. Here, anyway. It's a 3-plated movement. And it's not like your normal Westminster chime movement. The chime is actually the center arbor. This is the strike, and this is the time. I do believe that is because they, at the time, were adapting striking movements into chiming movements at the same time. This movement is about the length of the case, about this long, so it's pretty lengthy. This is the mechanical clock I've had the longest, about 5 or 6 years now. And it's only this year that I've actually figured out how to get it put in time properly, because in 2014 I was like 12 or something. So, this is a Hamilton. There's a lot of writing on the back of the case that says Q212. So I'm going to assume that's some kind of model number, perhaps. I've tried Googling it, but not entirely sure. Q212. Very nice case, in similar condition to the Waterbury, actually. You may notice one is significantly smaller than the other. That just goes to show how things have modernized. This uses a Hermle with a floating balanced wheel escapement, one of their newer ones, not one of the old ones where you have to kind of put a screwdriver in to actually regulate it. There's just a little screw. Here, let me just show you. So right here, you can see the type of Hermle it is. It's a 340-020A. Does Westminster chime in a very common key. I've heard that on a lot of different clocks, especially that have this same movement. There you can see what I was talking about. It's one of their newer floating balance wheel escapements. I think these are newer, that's what I was told. And then there's the regulator right there. If you ever have trouble regulating these, that's where the regulator is. It took me a while to figure that out too. What attracted me to actually get this was kind of the way the face looks. It's very simplistic, and the little pedals here around the center that come out of the shaft here for the hour and the minute hand kind of really attracted me to it. Sorry about the other clock that went off in the background. We'll actually get to that one next. This is a W-Hade tradition. I don't even know why they bother calling it a W-Hade. It's essentially just a Hermle. I don't know what this tradition trademark is exactly. I've seen a lot of these, and some people claim that they're made by Sears. So, I don't know. But, nonetheless, here I'll let you hear it. Is never going to keep time the way it should again unless I replace the floating balance wheel escapement or the entire movement. And one of these days I think I'm going to replace the entire movement if I ever can. Because it's just, it's a 1973 Hermle, I think. So it's rather old. It uses the old balance wheel escapement, which is the problem. The pivots are just, destroyed on the old one. It runs, but it ticks improperly. I think it's a really beautiful chime, so that's just my opinion, at least, and that's why I want to let it run until it just can't run anymore. And here's the one that most people that are subscribed to my channel probably liked the most. This is a Trend. Trend is a company by Sly. So this is really just a Sly clock. It's powered by a Hermle movement. And it does Westminster, St. Michael's, and Whittington. I'll do Whittington since we just heard St. Michael in the other one. What attracted me to this one was actually that chime. Because if you're familiar with clocks or you browse around a lot, you may notice that it sounds like a Gustav Becker almost. Or something similar. Very German clocks use this key. I mean, that's kind of just a generalization, but like, I hear it a lot on most German clocks. This it's especially apparent on Westminster. This key. But yeah. These two travel alarm clocks on the top of my Seth Thomas. I used to keep them on my nightstand, but now the Mauta Semka is over there. So they just rest here. It's a nice little effect. They don't wake me up anyway. I sleep through all of these clocks. So if you really think these can wake me up, you'd be mistaken. Oh yeah, and here's a little pink clock I stole from my sister. It's just a quartz Chinese clock. It's just one of those beep 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 beep. It's one of those kind of alarm clocks. It doesn't do anything really. And I stole it from my sister because she wasn't using it anyway. So I was like, ha, mine. These are my novelty clocks. I hope to add to these eventually. Some of them aren't running. I'm letting them run down again because I wound them up a day or two ago. It's a bit of an open mainspring there. So I don't know what brand this one is. I do know this is a Lux, which is an American clock company. This is a Lux clock. On it for a second here to show you. This little bird does a little dance there, and this is a J. Angsler or J. Angsler. I'm sorry I'm butchering the name, but that's what company made this one. I think they made an even bigger version too. Like one that actually uses a weight, not just a tiny little mechanical one. These don't keep time. They're a novelty. However, I do think the bigger one that J. Angsler made was actually able to keep time. This one's hour hand train is broken, as you can see. So that's unfortunate, but it's not like it kept time anyway. This belonged to my mother. My great-grandpa gave it to my mom, and she passed it down to me for my clock collection. That text there says arrow. It's a bit hard to see. It's in the style of a schoolhouse regulator. But yeah, that is all my clocks. You've seen them now, and I've talked about them a little bit. Information I know, except this one. I don't talk about it. It's a kind of a failed project, but now it's just there for decoration, and it looks good. It looks nice. So if you like my clock collection or you have any questions for me, please feel free to leave any of those questions or correct me on information that is wrong or help provide information, because that would be appreciated. There's not a lot of horology stuff on the internet. Most of those things are in books, it seems. And I don't have horology books. So, thanks for tuning in if you made it 23 minutes into a video of me just rambling. I'm going to fix these all now.